And want to take a moment and just go off the cuff here, and on the count of three, let's give her a little happy birthday song there, okay? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Herbert. Happy birthday to you. All right. I believe Herb said he's only a couple of years away from Social Security, so hang in there. You're doing good. You're doing good. Thank you very much. And actually, Commissioner Finch has
could you come up
a little something for you there, too.
Please, sir.
Michael, salute. Is that proper? Yes. Happy birthday. It's a little birthday card from all of us, and it was handmade by my wife with your coffee cup on the front of it. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, sir. All right. Anna, we're ready for the roll call when you are, ma'am.
All right. Mayor Holland?
Here.
Commissioner Taylor?
Here.
Commissioner Finch?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Messer?
Here.
Commissioner Vogel? Here. And Commissioner Normile?
Here. Thank you. And invite up to the podium a good friend of mine, Pastor Joe Strauss from Encounter 61 to lead us in prayer.
Let's pray. Father God, we just thank you, Lord, for this day. This is a great day because it's the day that you have made. And Father, we come tonight and we rejoice and we're glad in it. And Father, as we begin this meeting tonight, Father, we're reminded of Jesus as a little boy when he was separated from his parents and they found him. And he told them, he said, I know about my Father's business. And so much of these people here tonight, Father God, are about the town's business. And so, Lord, we just pray your strength upon them. We pray your wisdom upon them. We pray, Father, for that knowledge, Father, that they need. And that we all may not agree, Lord, but lead them and guide them in doing what's best for our community. And so, Father, we just pray your blessings to be upon them, upon our town, upon our community, and upon our people. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Joe. Thank you for all you do for our community as well. Thank you, sir. If everyone would stand with me and face the flag for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next item up would be the adoption of the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt? Motion's on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is approved. Next up will be our public announcements and proclamations. Veterans Day, November 11, 2022. Our town administrative offices will be closed. I want to thank and honor all the veterans who have served us. Welcoming the inaugural 2022 Emerald Isle Car Show will be held, weather permitting, keep your fingers crossed, November 12th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Western Ocean Regional Access. And big hats off to Officer Truett Blaylock. I believe he took the lead in that project. So if you're in the room or if you see him, give him a thank you for us. Story time and pre-K play, Mondays at 9 a.m. in the community center. Coffee with a Cop and Police Educating the Public will be held November 15th at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. respectively in the town boardroom. Next Golf Cart Advisory Committee meeting will be held November 15th at 5:30 in the town boardroom. Thanksgiving, November 24th and 25th, our town admin offices will be closed and the community center will be closed on the 24th. And our Emerald Isle Christmas Parade will be Saturday, November 26th at 2 p.m. Our next planning board meeting will be held November 28th at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom. Holiday Arts and Crafts Fair will be December 3rd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Community Center. The next Neighborhood Watch Board meeting will be held December 13th at 4 p.m. Here at the Police Department. And the following Coffee with a Cop will be held December 8th at 9 a.m. here in the Town Boardroom. Santa Ana Movie will be held December 9th from 6 to 8 at the Community Center. And the next Board of Commissioners meeting will be held Tuesday, December 13th at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom. I do have a proclamation here with me today. Got a couple of things to go over here. I'm going to step up and grab that mic if I may. This is a very, very important one to me, as it should be to everybody else. Veterans Day is very special. We wouldn't exercise our freedoms on a daily basis. We wouldn't be able to exercise our right to vote like so many of you have today without our veterans past and present. So want to issue this proclamation for Veterans Day 2022. Whereas November 11th, 2022 is recognized as Veterans Day across the United States. And whereas the greatest acknowledgement of our freedom is to honor our armed forces veterans who have sacrificed and in so many instances paid the ultimate price for our freedom. And whereas the town of Emerald Isle would like to recognize and thank all of our veterans for their service to our country and community. Now, therefore, I, Jason Holland, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Emerald Isle, North Carolina, do recognize the many veterans throughout Emerald Isle and Carteret County who have served and protected our freedom. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Emerald Isle, North Carolina, to be affixed this 8th day of November 2022. Jason Holland, Mayor, Emerald Isle. Thank you, veterans. If you would, please stand so we can recognize you. I know we have some veterans in the room. And Colonel Monclova, where are you, sir? Would you accept this proclamation on behalf of our veterans? Our guest of honor. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Colonel Monclova. One more time.
He's getting steps in tonight.
Yes, sir. You're going to get your steps in. Double time, sir. I have another little thing we'd like to present to you in honor of your contributions to our Neighborhood Watch program. The town of Emerald Isle proudly presents this certificate of appreciation to Irving Monclova in sincere appreciation and recognition of your tireless dedication and leadership over the years to the Emerald Isle Neighborhood Watch program. On behalf of the Mayor, Board of Commissioners, staff, and citizens of the town of Emerald Isle, please accept this award as a token of our appreciation and self-esteem, presented this 8th day of November 2022. Thank you once again, sir. From there or here, whichever you'd like, sir. Mr. Monclova had requested a couple of minutes there.
First of all, I'm really appreciative and honored to have received this recognition tonight. We have here in the audience today the people that really are the ones that made this Neighborhood Watch program possible. Chief Waters, Chief Reese, Chief Ponderella, the three first chiefs of police that really broke the feud that existed before between citizens and the police department. Those individuals have been transformational chiefs of police because they not only train the police to be friendly and trusted by the citizens, but the citizens learn to appreciate and recognize and support and cooperate, being the eyes and ears of the police. The reduction in crime in this town went from the highest in the county per capita income rate to the best one the first year of the program. Those two gentlemen at the right were big contributors to the united effort that we made here. Zone commander and captain of street, those two gentlemen there. And how many people here have been captains? So we have a great number of people here that deserve this award because a man is not an island. We live in a world of cooperation between human beings. And we love you all. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all very much. All right, item number 8 will be the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Public comment.
Oh, excuse me, I skipped one there. Public comment. I think I'll be very popular if I skip public comment. Public comment, the sign-up sheet is in the back there. I'll say a couple of things before we get into public comment. I know a very passionate topic is on the agenda for tonight. we're not going to limit public comment to items that are not on the agenda. So I'll say that first, that if you have a public comment regarding McLean-Spell Park or the way the creek smells at low tide or anything like that, feel free to help yourself. The findings of the McLean-Spell Park will be given a little later in the agenda. There won't be a public comment after that, but I'll say in the same breath, the board will not be asked to take any action one way or the other tonight. We hopefully have another meeting regarding the action-oriented action regarding McLean-Spell Park in a December or later meeting, and there will be a public hearing included in that meeting before the board is asked to vote. So if you have a comment regarding McLean-Spell Park during public comment tonight, feel free, but rest assured, before any action is taken or a vote is made, either way, we will have a public hearing before that, so we will have an opportunity at a future meeting to converse and ask questions directly of the board before any action is taken. Okay? So with that, we'll move into the public comment section of the meeting.
We have 2 people signed up tonight. The first is Jeff Ward.
Okay. Jeff, welcome, Jeff.
Can you guys hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay. I was looking back over the article after the survey reveal that we had in August, and I just wanted to read a couple of things just to remind everybody, what that meeting was all about. It says, survey showed an overwhelming majority of respondents wanted no development in the park. One commissioner said no bulldozing, no cutting. Another commissioner said, I share the sentiments of the results of the survey. Another commissioner said he did not support any clearing or development within the forest. And another said, I think we're all thinking the same way. I'm all about the trees. The sentiment was clearly to keep the park all natural. They say that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Maybe I'm the squeaky wheel. If so, I make no apologies. I'm doing it to remind everyone that decisions have intended and unintended consequences. Before you consider a dog park or any other project within the maritime forest, please be aware there are always unintended consequences, and we need to be mindful of that. How will it affect the integrity of the forest? What effect will it have on its wildlife? What long-term resources will be required to maintain it for the taxpayer and town staff? As for a dog park, have we thought about the logistics of fecal matter removal in the setting of a maritime forest? and its effect on disease control and water quality in our wetlands in Archer's Creek? Have we thought about the logistics of monitoring animals that come into the park and whether they're vaccinated or healthy in order to prevent diseases and contamination of the environment within that park? I brought 3 studies, and I'm not going to bore you with them, but one is from Cornell University's College of Veterinary Medicine, the other one is from Ohio State, and the other one is published in the Journal of the American Veterinary Medical Association. The one from Ohio State is one where experts provide guidance for dog shows, dog parks, doggy daycare, and they make recommendations. Among the recommendations is dogs should have up-to-date vaccinations. What protocol are we going to have in place? How are we going to make sure that that happens? Efforts should be made to keep rodents and wildlife out of areas where dogs will be, and to keep dogs out of areas most likely to include ticks, fleas, and other disease-carrying pests. In practice, following this advice could mean a Parks and Recreation Department works to eliminate standing water in a dog park and stay on top of keeping the grass mowed short. How is that going to work in the Maritime Forest? You know, I'm not unilaterally against dog parks, but I am unilaterally against putting one in the Maritime Forest. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
We also have Helena Lopez signed up. I hope I said your name correctly.
Hi, how are you?
Everyone, good, thank you.
Welcome.
I don't have anything as eloquent as he did, but I just want to say thank you to everyone who's put so much work into the dog park project. I have 3 small children, and we love to play at the playgrounds, both at the boat ramp park and here at the police park, as we call it. And I would love to see the dog park in one of those 2 locations. I think it's so fun for my kids to get to see the dogs playing. I think it would be a really fun way to get folks of, different generations together and to form even more community right here in this kind of visible location. I've also heard some really great arguments that just in case there's any issues with the dogs, it'd be great to be right next to the police station to get some help. So I do agree with the gentleman before me. I think his name was Jeff. I do not want to see the dog park in McLean-Spell Park. We walk through there and we love it, and just really would love to keep that in its natural state. I also spoke up on one of the conversations this summer and just want to again say, please, no development in that maritime forest. It is so special, and I'd love to keep it as it is. As I said, I live on Archer's Creek Drive, and I recently got my hands on a water quality study from 2012, and I'm not certain if there's a newer one, but I do want to just voice my concern about the water quality in the creek, where I am, close to the sound, but all the way through the island, and I would love to get some more information or understand kind of what the protocol is for further water quality studies, and I would love to volunteer to be involved in anything that's going on. Thank you so much for your time and all of the work that you all do.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. All right. Did anyone miss the sign-up sheet? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
My name is Paige Taylor Ward, and I wanted to start with a Roosevelt quote from Theodore Roosevelt. To waste, to destroy our natural resources, to skin and exhaust the land, instead of using it as to increase its usefulness, will result in undermining in the days of our children the very prosperity which we ought by right to hand down to them. I think we all should share a commitment to protecting our environment. We all need to be good stewards of our wetlands and our maritime forest. Unless something changes drastically, Those protected acres will never be disturbed. We will never be able to enjoy them just the way we found them. So we must learn to live in harmony with our natural environment. Wetlands tie together our land and our water, and they are some of our most productive ecosystems in the world. They do many good things for the health of the earth. They trap pollutants. They transform nitrogen into a form that's easier for plants to absorb and break down dangerous bacteria. They absorb 50 times more carbon. They mitigate large flood events. But it is fragile. Our wildlife lives here. We need to be a good steward.
Thank you, Paige. All right, before we move, is there anyone else that had a public comment that didn't make it to the sheet? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Joy Brownlow, 7506 Sound Drive. I don't really have anything prepared for this evening, but since we are on the park, I just wanted to thank you first for buying the park. I mean, please note, my family and I are very grateful for that. And I just wanted to echo the other speakers that I too would love to see McLean-Spell Park left in its natural state. And y'all know that I've done public comment since it was purchased. But I feel like anytime there's a chance to say it again, I will, and that way it just is another voice in the record. I've been a dog owner my whole life. I love animals. And my animals and my 3 generations of my family use this park almost on a daily basis. But as a dog owner, I would never, ever expect or want such a special and beautiful maritime forest, any of it removed for my animal at all. I mean, there's plenty of places to walk, including through the park on a leash. I've never used a dog park. I wouldn't be close to it. I just have never been around one. But I do hope that no part of the forest will be cut for that purpose. But if it goes somewhere else in town, that's great. But I just wanted to reiterate how special it is. How wise I think that it was that you guys did purchase the park for everyone's use, and we're very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Yes, sir.
My name is Andrew Allen. I live on Sound Drive. My wife and I have participated in the online meetings, we participated in the survey, and we participated in the in-person meetings. We've read the master plan in detail, and it's a good piece of work. But the one thing that stands out to us is the location of that dog park, and you've heard the others voice concerns that we share as well. And I think it's worth asking the question at this juncture, where you have your next meeting to try to make a decision on this. Is this the best place for a dog park? We recognize, I'm part of the 65% that did not respond wanting a dog park, but 35% of the survey did. Now, that's a minority, but it's a significant minority, and I feel that this town board and commissioners has to address what 35% of the people want as well as what 65% of the people want. So ask yourself that question is what I'm asking you to do. Is this the best place in Emerald Isle for a dog park? A couple instances recently stand out to my wife and I. People with children and dogs play at the playground with their dogs off the leash currently, okay? Will people with children and dogs want to bring both a dog and children to a park to play? I think so. We've had 2 incidences of dogs running up to our dog on a leash from the Blue Heron Park playground. So consider that. Have Summit make some comments or some additional work and study, is this the best place in Emerald Isle for a dog park? We don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. If that is the end of public comment, we'll move on to item 8, the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor say aye. Aye. It is approved. Item 9, we'll ask Mr. Matt Zapp to come up for an employee introduction.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Hey, Chief Jones, how are you?
Good, good. Tonight it's my pleasure to introduce our newest full-time employee, Caitlin Blake. She's a firefighter paramedic. She comes to us from Spotsylvania, Virginia. She began her career there in 2018. She moved to North Carolina about 4 months ago to help care for some of her family, and she currently resides in Vanceboro, North Carolina. She began with us on October 28th, and she says she's glad to be back doing what she loves to do in a beautiful place. So we welcome Caitlin Blake.
Thank you, Chief, and welcome, Caitlin. All right, and item 10 would be the presentation of Emerald Isle Marathon, Half Marathon, and 5K proceeds. Is Parks and Rec Director Candace Dooley.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Commissioners. Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be with you for the 8th time to present the proceeds from the race. I'm going to stand in the center, if that's all right with you, so I can ask my committee to join me. I truly could not do this without them. They've been with me since the very beginning when I had this crazy idea 9.5 years ago. So I invite Orla Lake, Amy Bearden, Stephanie Lester, and Emily Edgerton to please join me, and Patrick Dooley. Sorry, I don't know. So before we as a team present the funds raised from this year's race, I have a wonderful video that I'd like to share with everyone. It's just a short 1 minute, 15 seconds that truly captures the raw emotion, hard work, and dedication of the runners and volunteers to make this race happen, produced by our own Anna Smith. So enjoy. So thank you, Anna, for capturing those very special moments from that day, and thank you to everyone involved to make it happen. I do have a quick little slideshow that we're going to bring up. So on October the 22nd, we hosted 991 participants, the most we've ever had in our marathon, least we've ever had in a race, but it was still a huge success for us. We had 35 states represented on this island on the 22nd. One participant who came all the way from Colombia, South America. To me, that truly showcases what a wonderful destination Emerald Isle is, the reputation that this race has provided over the years, and how amazing the Crystal Coast is as a whole. We have the best reputation for our volunteers. That is the best compliment that I get year after year, and I'm biased. I think they're truly the best. But our 300 volunteers come out on both Friday and Saturday to help us make this race happen. They do everything from putting out signs, handing out packets, manning water stations, turns, the hospitality tent, finisher medals, you name it, they're out there starting at 4 a.m., and that's a huge ask. So thank you to all of the 300 volunteers. I would too be remiss if I did not mention the town departments. In a different role for me this year as the director of the race, I'm now a part of this amazing team. I'm biased and think that I have the best colleagues in the world, but they all showed up to support us on race day, everyone from police, fire, EMS, Public Works, Parks and Rec, Finance, Planning, and our PIO. So thank you to all of my colleagues, all of the volunteers, and especially my committee for backing me year after year. I appreciate you all. So on October the 22nd, it was a beautiful day filled with joy, community involvement, and major accomplishments. We had over 50 participants within the marathon who qualified for Boston, so we wish them the best of luck come April. And so everyone knows that every year we split our proceeds. 50% go to the Emerald Isle Bike and Pedestrian Path for improvements, extensions, whatever it is that we need to do annually, and then 50% to a local health-related charity. And so this year, if we have any representatives from the Bike and Pedestrian Committee with us, if not, that's perfectly fine. Then I will just publicly announce, and first, actually, let me mention that just in the last 7 years, we as a team standing before you have raised and donated over $250,000. So this is one of the best parts, aside from race day, where we get to add to that. And tonight, we're donating $16,000 to the Emerald Isle Bike and Pedestrian Path. So we will move straight into our local health-related charity, Hope Mission Ministries out of Morehead City. Hope Mission addresses the needs of poverty, homelessness, substance abuse in Carteret County. They do this through their soup kitchens, Meals on Wheels, emergency financial assistance, homeless services, and recovery homes. They were also with us on race day. They brought several volunteers to man aid stations, water stations, and then because they were there, we were able to take all of the leftover food and goods from our hospitality tent, load it on their trailer, and they took it back to Hope Mission, and they were able to feed those in need with the leftover food. Nothing went to waste. So I would invite the guest from Hope Mission to join us up front to receive your check for $16,000. Thank you all very much.
And this committee, volunteers, race participants, that's pretty fancy right there. I'll stop right there because I get a little misty-eyed myself, but congratulations to you all, and thank you, Hope Mission, for all you do. All right, item number 11 will be our McLean-Spell Park update. Our esteemed town manager, Matt Zapp.
And I have the opportunity tonight to share with you the results of the study again for the benefit and edification of the board, as well as our public that either be here with us this evening in person or those that would be with us online. We shared this information in the middle part of the summer, but what we wanted to do tonight was to talk about a little bit of history, where we were, how we got to here. And I think Joy eloquently pointed out that through the miraculous involvement of quite a few people, and you'll see the list here on the screen tonight, the town of Emerald Isle was able to raise $3.1 million to purchase the McLean-Spell Park, and our funding, as you can see, was broken down by a substantial amount of partners, including $1.5 million from the U.S. Department of Defense Readiness Program, the RAPI, $500,000 from North Carolina Parks and Recreation's Part F Trust Fund, $545,000 from the Clean Water Management Trust, and a $600,000 contribution 10-year installment loan from Truist Bank, which we're currently funded with through the town of Emerald Isle. So Emerald Isle local coffers providing $600,000 of a $3.1 million purchase to provide and protect that maritime forest. So we wanted to begin with that as our baseline here tonight, as we roll into the conversation pertaining to what next steps may be in in the future for McLean-Spell Park. So we began with an exploratory opportunity. The town of Emerald Isle engaged an outside third-party vendor. In this particular case, it's the firm Summit Engineering. And I've been in this business for nearly 20 years, and this is quite possibly some of the highest density results I've ever seen of a town-driven study where over 1,200 people participated in this vibrant conversation about the park system and specifically what they'd like to see at McLean-Spell Park. In addition to the survey, 2 virtual public meetings were held, and they were held at different times of the day, one at noon and one at the 6 o'clock hour, so that people either at their workstations or whether they were at home could participate. In addition, we also had a one-on-one style meeting in person here at Town Hall. The room was nearly full at the Board of Commissioners room with 40 people in attendance. 28 people took the opportunity to speak during that open public forum. In total, 1,238 people contributed their opinions, ideas, and preferences. And out of that, it's really interesting to point out that nearly all of those responses were online, 1,210 of them to be exact, with 28 people responding in paper. And so throughout that process, we learned a great deal about ourselves, our neighbors and friends, where they're from, what they like to do, and we'll go over some of those high-level highlights here tonight. We also had QR codes and opportunities placed conveniently throughout the park system where users of the parks might see these areas. So in addition to online social media presence, our definitive homepage, and then casting out this information, we tried to put the request for data in front of the people that would use the parks the most. And here are the high level of your survey results. What was really interesting is we found the age range of our respondents. Greater than half of the people were 55 years of age or more, and 28% of them landed in that bandwidth between 55 and 64, which are very active adults, and we were able to get their feedback. Within the community survey, we went on to find out that a lot of people were mentioning both Emerald Isle Woods and McLean-Spell Park in their responses. We had keywords that kept coming up. So the one thing that we saw, it was the high usage of the park. And in addition to that, we saw a very high demand, a lot of frequency of the words for dog parks, picnic areas. Pickleball courts are extremely hot topic, as well as exercise, mobility, and movement. So additional things that came out at very high levels, skate park was mentioned. Nearly 1/3 of the comments were about skate parks and other activities. And then we went on and on through and keeping a very constant theme. The one thing that we stressed during our open public meetings that we stressed during the last presentation, and that what we would like to share tonight from your administrative team, your elected team, as well as our constituents in the audience, that we would also like to see this area kept natural, preservation of our maritime forest, and the whole idea of nice matters, but green matters. So keeping it green for all of us. And to take us back to the original slide, that $3.1 million effort provided us the ability to maintain what we have today, as opposed to seeing over 300 potential dwelling units in that particular space. So one major victory has already been accomplished, and now what we're trying to do is get 1,238 people to order a pizza. And that's really a challenge, right? So we're not sure which kind of toppings you want, thin crust, thick crust, but where we are today is we want you to know that the constant theme from all of us to everyone in this room is keeping it natural, preserving the preservation of that maritime forest, and then also focusing on our green spaces. The demographics study, this is one thing that I think that the leadership team up front, as well as our primary staff, has taken away, is really the current breakdown of the Emerald Isle residents. And what we see here, the national average, we're dramatically different than the national average, and we're even extremely different than a dominant portion of Carteret County. So the median age in Carteret County is age 45, but in Emerald Isle, our median age is 57. And what we're seeing there is we have an active adult population with a median household income of nearly $92,000, an average home price of around $430,000. And then when you get into our percentage of our greater than half of our residents have a college degree or higher, and they're classified 80% as white collar. So what we're seeing is we oftentimes have the ability and a little bit of disposable income, and we have the resourcing to be very active within our community. And so that's what we saw in our demographic breakdown as well. So in conclusion to the preliminary that led us to tonight, again, we wanted to focus on a strong support of keeping mature trees, a strong support for active walking trails, the cleanliness of them, the safety of them, the meandering of those trails, and maintaining the shady forest of McLean-Spell Park, which got to some sound bites that were really important. So we're still away from bulldozers and more to hand pruners. And so what we're trying to do here tonight is to share with you all of the feedback from all 1,238 people collectively put together. Additionally, other keywords again that came up in our word searches were the importance for exercise stations, playgrounds, dog park, bocce courts, basketball and or pickleball court. And I think I made a reference at the August meeting that there is a major difference, this just in, if you're a tennis player or a pickleball player, you oftentimes aren't running in the same circle. So we understand that there's a high demand for both of those court surfaces and the opportunity to play potentially simultaneously. So the following sketches, concepts, ideas are all based on community feedback. For those of you that had grabbed the full packet, the full data is available, and we're going to go ahead and make that accessible to people. Our whole purpose here tonight is just to give you a general 10,000-foot view. Obviously, I can't read to you all the detail in here because I'm getting closer to that 57 mark as I get every day. So I'd have to get right up on that screen to read you the details. But what I can tell you here tonight is we're proposing an opportunity for a phase 1 and or a phase 2 situation. So if you don't mind, if I'm not going to borrow your glasses, I'm going to turn around and read if that's okay. So phase 1, one of the things that we're talking about is a first and most prudent step. And that's to have a certified arborist come in, review what we do before anything happens. So what we're recommending to the board tonight is that we engage a certified arborist to come in and help us work through this process. There's also a recommendation for the trail updates, which maintains the trails in its same meandering path, just in a safer mode, that if there's anything as a trip hazard on the ground, low-hanging branches, things that might come in contact with your eyes, and you have to think about little people at different heights and those of you that can get things off the top shelf where I can't reach. So we would make it good for all of us, but we would want to make sure that we clear those areas. One of the other recommendations that came out of the Summit study was the importance of putting in exercise stations that would be blended into the environment, that would provide you opportunities to walk and get some resistance exercises, body weight resistance. Those would blend into the area, be a very low impact, but very high yield. The other piece that's important is the potential for a water fountain. Regardless of dogs or people, there will be potential access to have a fountain there. And so what we have been trying to research is a touchless free outside fountain, and we haven't quite found the one that we're looking for. But if you're in there and it's the middle of summer, and whether you're by yourself or for those of you that don't know, I usually have 5 or 6 people following me around, sometimes in front of me and behind me with the youngins, but a water fountain would be critical to make sure you can stay hydrated. The next balance in the part of phase 1 is a recommendation for a dog park. Now, the dog park would be located in this concept drawing in this small area here. And to put many people at ease, if a dog park is activated and brought into this arena, it would have very minimal clearing, and you would want to maintain a canopied area for the protection of the animals as well. So we're not talking about clearing out up to an acre. What we're talking about is an opportunity for a very small dog or a very large dog, and the differentiation in that is usually 25 and under or 26 and over. And that way you would separate those animals. There would be a double gated system where you would be able to walk through the first gate and close it, then open the second gate and take your pet into either the small dog side or the large dog side. The calculations were already ran with the stormwater team at Summit about any potential impact for runoff. Anecdotally, I can tell you I've had the privilege of installing one other dog park in the past and operating it for over 3 years. This is just a generalized statement, and I'm sure it doesn't apply to any of us in here, but many of the dog owners I know oftentimes treat their four-legged family members equitable, if not better than some of their two-legged family members. And so our concern about the contamination isn't extremely high, because what our past experience is just showing us is that people are treating those dogs well. And that at a transient location such as this, you would have a lot of interaction. But those are conversations that would still have to be held. Again, just small and a large dog space there. The other point that was extremely high level and very well received and encouraged is the importance of blending in a picnic shelter, an area where you could go take a book. If you wanted to have a small conversation, bring a picnic lunch with you and place that out. So there's also a potential recommendation for a picnic shelter, which would be nearest the entrance to the park, where you would currently come out through Blue Heron or past our community area here, and then we could conveniently place a blended-in picnic shelter. So Mayor and Board, I'll pause there. Number one, to come up for air, and two, to ask if you have any questions at this point about a Phase 1 recommendation.
Matt, I know it's been covered before, but just as a refresher, that potential marked off area where if it were to move forward, where it would go, as far as area within the woods that it would cover, can you brush upon that?
Sure. So if we'll bring that, the slideshow back up, I'll use the pointer. And Mayor, if I'm on point, if I'm not, misdirect me. So what we're saying is this is the facility of which the white lines are the existing trail system that you would see through that area. And the only area of any type of potential impact would be within the yellow boundary. But you can see any of the impact is extremely small, and all we're proposing here is a small space for the shelter. And then if the dog park goes in, it would have very minimal reduction just to run the fence through there. So the maximum allocation within this block of 30 acres was potential for up to 9.6 or so. It was less than 10 acres of any kind of development. Does that address the question?
The proposed dog park, how much space would that take up?
The proposed dog park, if you can just go ahead and bring that up and leave it up for me. The proposed dog park is slightly less, or right at 1 acre.
Thank you, sir.
But yes, sir. But again, it wouldn't be clearing or cutting that. You would allow your pets to be inside that space, and then they play within the existing mature trees. Any other questions from the board?
Not for me. Thank you.
All right. Can you please leave the presentation up as we continue?
Matt?
Yes, sir.
Two quick things, if I can. The white trails that you pointed out, I think most people already know, but just to quantify, those trails exist already,
That's correct.
not clearing anything.
No,
Just
sir.
created any trail.
That's correct. And if we bring that presentation back up and leave it up for me, the only dashed area would be, there's a potential for a small connector. And this small connector is, there's an existing trailhead and then a small connector to the other trailhead. So a few feet. It's very minimal at best. But yes, sir, they're existing trails. The white lines are the existing trailheads. And you can walk those today.
Thanks for that. The other thing you had mentioned, excuse me, an arborist. Were you looking for feedback, or do you need to are you looking for feedback from the board to get some pricing for an arborist to discuss in our next go-around, or?
At this point,
anything you're recommending for that?
At this point, I would highly recommend, that's non-negotiable for us as a team. What we would want to do, we know a little bit to be dangerous, but not enough to be the expert in the space. And so we have access to an arborist that we're familiar with for some additional tree work that we've done in the past, and we would want to consult with their team potentially to come in alongside of us. Again, we're not looking to remove much of anything other than this is where An arborist can tell you if you have a hanging issue, a dangler, something that would be overhead in that canopy that might be a potential for a threat. We would just want assistance. And then if we found any trees that had any type of disease or concern that we could treat. So at that point, to answer your direct question, I think the cost would be minimal, and it's a best management practice. Unless there's somebody that has some objection to that, that's the next step for our parks team would be to begin engaging in that conversation if any type of a plan to move forward was approved.
Yeah, one of the things I found interesting when we were talking about this was even some of the dead trees in the park serve as habitat for, important species. So they're definitely non-negotiable.
So I think what Commissioner Vogel's indicating is some of the trees that are down are intended to be down. So if you see a tree that's down, don't assume that we haven't gotten to it. It might need to be left there. So, and one of the other things, we had a great recommendation, I think it was from Trevor Brownlow at one of our past meetings, was placing placards and signs around that facility that would not only allow you to read that data, but we had already talked about creating QR codes, which would give us a chance to scan that code, and potentially it would pull up historical or naturalized data. So you could take a walking educational tour, whether it's yourself or, for in our particular case, we have a lot of after-school programming. We have some pre-K kids that are here. So it's a great chance for us to take them into that natural environment and allow them to learn and play while they're remaining active. Excellent points. I'm looking to the board first.
I have one more thing.
Yeah,
I
we'll
just
we'll
wanna
flush any questions we have out from up here.
maybe give a quick refresh of the history of the dog park, because this were funds raised
Sure,
and there was
sure.
a vote already and.
So our dog park project has been in the queue for quite a few years. There was a goal of nearly $52,000 to be raised for the dog park, and we have met that goal. And a portion of that was raised from private citizens and then a match with the town. So at this point, unless I'm mistaken in finance, we have north of $50,000 allocated and dedicated to the placement of a dog park somewhere in Emerald Isle. If it's okay, before we have any questions, we'll move to phase 2. So in phase 2, if we choose to opt with a portion or all of phase 1, a recommendation for phase 2, which is a little bit further out of reach from a financial perspective, and I'd like to stress, thank you, Commissioner, we can do everything in phase 1. We can afford to reach phase 1 today if it's a plan that you choose to enact. In phase 2, for those of you that use this facility and may have gone to Blue Heron, our restroom could potentially use an update. So we saw this opportunity that we already have our water and sewer infrastructure right there at Blue Heron, and we knew that if we did any further improvements, you'd be inviting greater people to come. So one of the concepts would be to improve the existing restroom facility that you'll find. It serves the current playground in all of Blue Heron. Additionally, would be the opportunity to construct a naturally designed and fit outdoor classroom. And for anyone that participates in exercise, even yoga, with us, any of the outdoor programs that we currently do, this would have the potential for a shaded canopy. You'd be able to enjoy and recreate in the outdoors, but wouldn't necessarily have to be scorched in that summer sun. So there's a lot of opportunities to tie and weave that in. And then the other piece for the pickleball players in the room, there is a high demand to place a pickleball court. And the reality now becomes to where can we put it? How can you access it? And if we have all these wonderful amenities, both at the now complex, basically between the community center, the Blue Heron Park, and McLean-Spell, you don't have a lot of parking. And so a lot of people are using bicycles. Some are coming on foot, pedestrian traffic, but still a lot of people do drive to the area. So we're trying to determine what is the proper density between all these beautiful amenities and providing you access, because the one thing that would be a disservice would be to build it and not have you anywhere to go. And so we want to make sure that it's not just for the immediate folks that are within walking or biking distance, but for others that do come in. So we also have the ability to bus some kids in for the after school, and we know that that's a large group of small people. But again, all of these other opportunities would have to be balanced with the parking and access to the facility. So again, tonight, No action is being taken. All we're trying to do is present data from the 1,238 feedback points that we had, work through this conversation as a community, as a family, and find out what would be best for all. And again, coming back to the assertion that we potentially might not all agree on every topping that goes on that pizza, but we want to make sure that whatever we do is not negatively impacting our environment or causing any distrust or harm to anyone in the neighborhood. The board would not take any action on this before December 13th, but if you do choose to do so, just want to let you know that our staff is geared up to help execute this in the 2023 model if you so ask us to. And one thing that we did do is our parks team has gone in and any immediate hazards that existed in the area, we wanted to try to get those cleaned up. So as you can imagine, we're busy, very busy in the summer. We're coming into more of a down period for us. So generalized maintenance, parks and recreation will be out there just cleaning up. Please be aware that you won't hear chainsaw starting out. What we're here to do tonight is just present the data, answer any questions. Now, if it's okay with the board, I'll take questions or not, whatever, however you choose to do this, as we know that we would have an opportunity in December, let people percolate on the conversation.
Thank you, Matt. And again, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, we will have a public hearing where there'll be some Q&A and back and forth between the public and the board before they're asked to take any actions. Is there any clarifying questions or anything like that from the board at this time?
Matt, where can the people go to download this PDF?
Question. One thing we would encourage people to do is we have our website at emeraldisle-nc.org, and we'll make sure that we have all of this data uploaded by the middle of the day tomorrow. So now that this is a public forum, we'll present that, and we'll be able to upload the entire packet. It'll be PDF form in full color. You'll be able to print it either in color or black and white, and we'll also put the olive branch out. If you don't have the access to that printer or you're not necessarily that tech savvy and you want to stop by, any one of us at the administration center between 8 and 5 can print you a copy and make sure you have access to it. I do have a couple of extras here tonight if you want one.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, sir.
It's in the agenda packet online under agendas, and we'll just, if that's okay, thank you for that reminder, and we'll just make you a direct link on the news section of the website.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving along, we'll have our presentation of our annual comprehensive financial report. Our Finance Director, Laura Rochford.
Thank you. So I have 6 slides tonight, so I promise to keep it brief. But the town just, we completed our fiscal year. Our year end is June 30, and our financial statements have been audited. They're complete, and they're actually now available on the website if anybody would like to have a look at them in detail. Our audit committee met with our auditor last week by telephone, and our auditors, again, are S. Preston Douglas and Associates out of Lumberton. We had a clean audit report, and I'm just going to kind of go over the balances and highlights and answer any questions that anybody may have. So just to start out, this is our statement of net position. So this is essentially our balance sheet and essentially the town's equity. The first column, 2022, as of June 30, we ended with just over $38 million in total assets. Make sure I'm okay here. And 25.3 million of that is our capital asset. That's our land, building, vehicles, and that also includes our right to use lease vehicles. We had 7.4 million in total liabilities. The town's long-term liabilities include our installment purchase notes, our vehicle leases, compensated absences, as well as pension liabilities. In total, grand total, we have 30.9 million in total net position down at the bottom line there. And the majority of that is in our capital assets on hand. We do have 7.3 million that is restricted, and a big portion of that number is restricted cash on hand for future beach nourishment fund. Overall, we did see an increase of 643,418 in our total net position for the year. general fund, that's our major operating fund. We did increase our fund balance again this year. This year, we increased by $397,328. Similar to the last slide, you have the 2022 column compared to last year. We had revenues just over 12 million. Expenditures were just under 12 million. And this year, we did have some positive offsetting. We capture our transfers, our leases, or any installment debt separately, and so that caused our increase to 397,000 this year. That brings our total fund balance from 3.5 million last year to almost 4 million. So we're increasing here again in the general fund. We have several other funds that we capture and disclose in the financial statements. We actually have 11 funds and projects, and so this is a listing of the projects and funds in order, and that's just it's just the order that we have it in the financial statements. But by far, our Future Beach Nourishment Fund is our other largest fund. Far right column there, the ending fund balance as of June, we're just under $6 million on hand for the Future Beach Nourishment Project. You'll see some negatives there. There's 2 projects that are negative, or with the brackets, and the reason those are negative is those are FEMA-funded grant projects. And so we are waiting for reimbursements from FEMA. So as soon as we get those in, those projects will be closed and cleared out. And we have a few zeros there, and the $0 balances are where we've either completed a project or an event, and then we're closing that out. So currently, our special events fund, we have about 51,672 on hand as of June. That was primarily the fishing tournament. Our bike and pedestrian fund had, at that time, 48,844, which we've now added to due to the proceeds from the marathon. Golf cart improvement fund, we had at that time just a little over 7,000, and the McLean-Spell Park at that time had 72,000 on hand. So that's the listing of all of our other funds. And the last important kind of measurement that I wanted to show tonight was our fund balance. I'm going to switch back to the general fund one more time. We measure our fund balance as a metric, and we monitor it in our budgeting process and in our financial statements. This slide is one of our town policies. Our adjusted fund balance is a measure that we have been looking at. This one is 16 years worth of data. On the far left, that's 2007, we were about 1.8 million, and currently we're already to 3.8 million. So we can see that steady growth as the town grows, and we're maintaining that fund balance. There's a split there, those colors. The blue bar is the unassigned or unrestricted portion of our fund balance, where the red section is the restricted portion. So we have these categories of fund balance, and we just monitor that. One of the key indicators that we do, though, we do want to monitor that as a percentage of our expenditures. And so I always show this every year. Our town policy, our policy is to have our adjusted fund balance be proportionate to our expenditures at least 25%. And so we're increasing that. You can see last year we were 29.8, and now we're at 31.26%. So we keep growing there. That's good. Our goal would be to get closer to 50%. We also measure, the state, the local government commission always has us measure as well, and they actually have a different formula. And so I usually put both measurements right side by side because they do go hand in hand. They generally grow or decline together, but the statute does not include the restricted portion of the fund balance in their formula. And so they have us at 22.39% this year, which is a little bit lower, but it is also growing from the year prior. And that goal is also 25%, and I just wanted to put this last slide up there. It's a little bit detailed, so small font, but this is a page right out of the state treasurer's reporting. We always report to the treasurer's office, and the important part of this slide is on the very bottom corner, those 3 bars, is that we're showing that we're increasing that fund balance on the statutory requirement as well, and we're getting close to that 25% mark. So I'm pretty confident that we'll get that within a year or two as we increase our fund balance year over year. And I kind of went a little bit fast. I know it's late in the evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I wanted to just give those balances and those percentages to the board and to the public, so I'm happy
Thank
to
you,
answer
Laura.
any questions.
Thank you. And correct me if I'm right, when we were on the phone at the meeting there, the audit is actually comprised of 3 individual audits, and all 3 came back with no findings, which is a good thing, correct?
Yes, so there's, in this financial statements, we have 3 audits. They audit the financial statements, our internal controls, and because we have such large grant projects, federal and state, we have a single audit for compliance with the grants. So they're doing 3 there, so yes, and all 3 were clean, yes.
Yeah, I just thought it was worthy of note.
Yep, thank you for reminding me, yep.
Any questions from the board for Laura? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, item 13 would be comments from our clerk, attorney, and manager. Anna? You know I'm gonna ask you. Mr. Stanley, no comment. Mr. Zapp?
Yes, sir. Just really briefly, if you've heard me say it once, you'll hear me say it 100 times. We are so fortunate to have Laura as our finance director and our certified CPA on staff. The amount of hours and effort that went into what you saw tonight are virtually countless. And not only that, Laura, how many years now have you received the award for your accounting excellence and prowess? So 8 years of her tenure, we're receiving the awards from the local government, and just the amount of accumulated knowledge that she has put into this has been tremendous. And I know that Floyd and Jim particularly pay attention to her little silver car sitting in the parking lot, but she does burn the midnight oil. So if we don't mind, would you help me in recognizing and thanking her for her effort?
Thank you, sir. Well said and well deserved. We'll hear from our commission now. Mr. Taylor.
Thanks again to Laura. I sit on that committee, and it's the easiest committee I sit on. I sit there, and she goes through the spiel, and I hear everything, and every year it's just amazing what she does. So I'm glad the town has a lady like Laura that does the great work she does for us. Thanks again to all the veterans out there. Can't thank you enough what you've done to let us have meetings like this and the sacrifices you've made. I hope the Emerald Isle Car Show turns out really good. Don't forget, that's our first year, so make sure you go out and get you a t-shirt on that one and check it out. And the big Emerald Isle Christmas Parade's coming up soon too, another fun thing to come check out. So got some great things happening in November, and wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving, and spend some great time with your families. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Finch?
Laura, job well done. Ms. Candace, thank you for all your effort and your team for an outstanding job. It astonished me that how many people really turned out, and especially the 35 states that were represented. That says a lot. So thank you. And last thing is, you know, shortly, in about 2.5 weeks, we're going to be faced with Thanksgiving again. So I just wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving and a safe Thanksgiving.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Messer?
Congratulations again to Laura. This is getting to be a habit, but a good habit. And to Candace for the excellent job you always do with the marathon, and just like the other commissioners, hope everybody has a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Vogel?
Laura, great job. Amazing. 3 audits and they didn't find anything, so.
It's okay to smile, Laura.
Yeah, amazing. Candace, awesome job on the marathon. $32,000 going back into the community, and I'm personally grateful that Hope Mission was chosen. They're affecting lives of the people in our community every day. There's a line at the door every day for meals. There are a lot of people that need the help that they provide, so awesome. Thank you to all the public comment on the findings of the survey. That helps this board make good decisions for the needs and wants of the community. I really, really appreciate that, and I wrote them all down to be able to take them into consideration. I want to give a plug really quick for the golf cart committee, because you saw that the fund balance was about 7,200. The golf cart committee is a super important committee in our community. There's a lot of golf carts. I looked at the latest numbers. There's just under 1,500 golf cart permits in our community, riding around, probably not every day, but the work that they do helps keep things safe, provides additional parking so people aren't parking on the side of the streets. I mean, the work that they're doing is, I think, important. So I know they have some fundraising efforts coming up probably in the next few months. So if they're doing anything in the community, I encourage you to support it, especially if you own one of those golf cart permits. That's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner Noma.
And the engineer works for free, and he's a good man.
That's right, he does work for free.
Echo everything that's been said. Matt, I like the analogy of the pizza and the feedback. It sounds like we like the crust, we got that part down. We like the sauce, we got the cheese part down. We're okay with pepperoni, we're just not sure about the mushrooms. So we're getting closer, and we're doing good work. And from the big picture, we've saved the property. We'll get there together. Good feedback, and not in a hurry to make a big decision, right? The other thing is, with Laura's stuff, for those here, those that are online, in the published package, the minutes for our meeting this evening, pages 66 to 72, pages 66 to 72. Best part of the 295-page package that went out. So very briefly, built within pages
66 to 72.
66 to 72, here's my nugget. So if you go to enough meetings with the North Carolina League of Municipalities and other state organizations, when it comes to finance and management of your money, our monies, the rule of thumb, and also from the School of Government, is not to exceed 2% of our assets in debt service. Sound about right? Very fortunate, our current debt service right now is, if I get it wrong, you can correct me. So I believe we're at about 0.06%, less than 1% in debt service, with more debt service rolling off of the books next year. And a lot of that can be attributed to, well, we've got Floyd, Floyd the budget hawk. We're all budget hawks, but just a little humor. A lot of that can be attributed to the volume of grants that a lot of people work on to bring in to do great things, as demonstrated with this park and the lands. So hats off to everybody for being conservative with our monies, and hats off to everyone working those grants. And I'm excited about more debt service rolling off. And then when those who elect not to run in the next election, we will have positioned that next board in good physical position. That's my 2 cents. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Jim. Close it up. I just want to thank all of our town staff. The work you men and women do every day is immeasurable. Your efforts are duly noted and greatly appreciated. You don't just come to work and go home. You're dedicated to all things good in Emerald Isle, so I thank you for that. Happy upcoming Veterans Day. I think our veterans should be celebrated every day, but enjoy your special day upcoming. In regards to McLean-Spell Park, thank you, Summit Engineering. Thank you again for our town staff, all the work that you all have put into simply giving this preparing and giving this presentation to the public. I thank you all for your input and your opinions, regardless of what they are. You wouldn't be here and you wouldn't have a voice if you didn't care, and I appreciate the fact that you care. One more thanks to Candace, the committee, the volunteers, the runners for their efforts in our marathon, half marathon, and 5K. It's extremely heartwarming to see everybody doing such good things. And be thankful every day for everything that we have. Give thanks every day, and a happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting's adjourned.